My name is Jeff St Laurent. This is the Tuesday live show, and I'm thrilled to bring you today's topic, and that is what to do with your website. The website whole thing can be a very overwhelming process, and my goal today is to kind of take you through some of the logistics of it to hopefully just make it easier on you, so you can move forward with that and get that done. If you don't have one, or if you have one already, take a look at your website and make sure that it has what it needs to have, and then revamp whatever's necessary. Before we get started, I do record all of these live shows and I put them on my website, sellingcoaching.com, under the university. Please check that out. I've got a lot of great resources there, including one right on the homepage, and that is the Ultimate Startup Guide for New Coaches. If you're watching this live, I pasted that in the comment section, so you can always go check that out right there, or you can go right over to my website and get those great resources. I also have a private Facebook group, and you can check that out at sellingcoaching.com. Right at the top of every page, you can click right over to that. That's a great place for us to interact, and that's a great place for you to start speaking your message, as I have some great challenges that I'm doing in there as well. With that being said, we got a lot of stuff to go over today, and that's helping you with your website. So one of the biggest things when you're starting your website, a lot of coaches start it, I would say, too early. And so before we get going, the first tip I'm going to give you in terms of a website is do not do your website until you know who your target audience is. People call this a niche. I like to say it's your niche headline in the form of helping who with what specifically. If you don't know who you're marketing to, who your ideal client is, in other words, where they are, and what specifically you're helping them with, why are you going to do a website? And the reason I'm saying that is because you're going to be spending a lot of time and energy, hopefully not a lot of money, but there is an investment, even if you're doing it yourself on one of the do-it-yourself platforms. The thing about that is you're spending a lot of time, and your time is super valuable because as a coach, we get paid for not time, we get paid for results. So we get that amount of time we have, we got to create results in those amount of time. And you're not going to create results by doing a website, meaning you doing the actual website isn't going to create your results. By having a website isn't going to give you results. So that's why it's very important to understand where your time's going, but especially if you don't know what you're doing in terms of that, you're going to get probably a very meager product that's somewhat functional and looks kind of good, but we're not going for kind of good. And with the rates we've got to charge as a coach in order for us to actually create a full-time income, based on how many clients we can get on a weekly basis, we've got to be charging a decent amount of money. And we also should be charging a decent amount of money because we have a lot of value that we can bring to our audience. So the number one tip, like I said, is do not do a website until you understand who you help with what specifically. The worst thing that can happen is that someone goes to your website, however they get to your website, and they don't know what you do or who you help, because guess what? They're gone immediately. I go to so many coaches' websites, especially as I'm working with people and helping them out, or just on different forums and things like that, different groups on and around Facebook, when a coach is all too excited to say, hey, I got my new website, check it out, I'm so proud, I'm so happy. And it's like, yes, kudos to you, like it's a big accomplishment. However, when I get there, it's just like this nice picture of some guy and girl like climbing a mountain in this picturesque pose, like with their hands up over their head, and they're just like, achieve more and lead a fulfilling life. And it's just this very froofy, feel good, general, like, I just help you be awesome. Or in some cases, I found coaches actually have a very specific niche, but they don't just say, this is who I help with what specifically. It's like written cryptically in this long scrolling paragraph on the home page, and I'm on a 24-inch monitor on my desktop computer. Now, what if I got a phone, a smartphone? I'm going to be scrolling for days. My fingers are going to get tired, and guess what? I'm not going to scroll at all. I'm going to get there, I'm going to see all this text, and I'm going to be gone if I even find you in the first place. So you need to declare who you're going after with what specifically as possible. So if you don't know that yet, take some time before you invest that energy. And in fact, if you don't know what your message is yet, or you can't figure that out, before you do a website, like, social media is fantastic these days. Find a platform that you're familiar with to start with, or just get on Facebook or LinkedIn or Instagram. I mean, there's so many different platforms, but choose one of them is start speaking your message. That's why I talk about in my private Facebook group, my Selling Coaching private Facebook group, is I do right now I'm doing a Make Some Noise challenge, and that's helping people speak their message. It's doing a Facebook live broadcast at least once a week for a minimum of 10 weeks. That's basically one a week for 10 weeks. And it's trying to help them speak their message and get consistency with that as well. So if you don't know where you're at, you got to start speaking that. Even sometimes when you know where you're at, like I thought I've known where I'm at several times in my business. And the next thing you know, I'm like doubting myself. I'm like, is this really where I'm at? Or where I thought I was at really isn't as solid as I thought it was. So you're going to have those moments, but either way, you're going to be wasting a lot of time, energy, and money if you don't know where that is. And the reason is because number one, it's not going to be effective, and I'll talk about why in a second. And number two, you're going to have to redo it later on when you figure that out. And then you have to spend more time, energy, and money figuring that out. So let me go back to what I just said is why it's not effective if you're just general. So this is going to go back to what is the purpose of a website. And I would think about this. Your website is nothing more than a marketing tool. It's not a brochure. It can be a brochure, but that's not the effect of it. Your website is a marketing tool that whatever you're putting out there, whatever type of marketing you're doing, and I'll break down marketing into two categories. There's paid marketing and then there's free marketing. Paid marketing is stuff you pay for, like Facebook ads, Google ads, things like that. Anything that you're investing money in to drive traffic where? To your website. Ultimately, to capture leads. You're driving them to your website, or you're driving them to like a landing page. The other type of marketing is free marketing. Free marketing is basically content marketing. That's why I typically start coaches off when I mentor with them, and suggest they start off. Not only can they get good and proficient with their message, but I don't want them spending, hundreds of dollars a month or whatever they're going to spend. Could be a lot more than that, ideally. But just when they don't really know what their message is, they don't know who they're targeting. Therefore, they're targeting everybody, and therefore it's not going to be effective. So the free type of marketing is this content marketing, right? And it's blogs, it's podcasts, webinars, live shows like this, things like that, face-to-face even. But with that content marketing, what are we doing? We're driving people to our website. What do I do with this live show? What I start off with, I say, hey, listen, I record all these things. If you're watching them live, or, go to sellingcoaching.com, check out my university, get my free resource on my homepage, right? I'm providing you with great educational resources in the hopes that I'm going to help you, and you're going to say, dude, this guy Jeff rocks, right? And that you like my information, and then you're going to subscribe to my free offer. You're going to get that startup guide for new coaches. Either way, you're going to get on my email platform. You're going to come to my private Facebook group, and you're going to join, and you're going to ideally participate or be behind the scenes, and you're going to be seeing my information. So at some point, I help you to the point where when you're ready and you're like, you know what, I'm either sick and tired, or I don't want to get sick and tired, and I know I need some help, and I want to hire somebody, I want to be top of mind, and I want to be that person that like, and trust, that's been there for you, whether it's been virtually behind the scenes or we've been interacting, and then you end up working with me, right? So that's the objective of whatever marketing you're doing, is you're driving people ultimately to your website. And the website is your hub for everything. And that's where you want people to go. When you get to your website, you don't want them going someplace else. So that's where you want to get them. And so the number one thing is we got to understand what is the value of a website. And that's our home base that we're sending all of our traffic to from whatever type of marketing we're doing. But now when they get there, this goes back to my first objective is don't do a website till you know and you're 100% sure. Well, let me retract this. Not 100% sure, because you might never be 100% sure. Therefore, you're never going to do it. So until you're kind of sure who you're going after, who you help with what specifically. And now that we understand why we do that, we drive traffic to our website. And when they get there, they've got to know immediately if this is for them or not. So when you get this vague, long, drawn out paragraphs and blah, 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 and, I am want to help people, and I want you to lead this purpose-driven, fulfilling life, and it sounds so good. And yes, people want that, but we've got to target a challenge they have, or a problem that they have, or a big need that they're going after. And so they've got to know right away if it's for them or not, because if not, they're going to go away. They're going to go away because they're distracted, because there's so much competition, and not competition for coaches, not like there's other coaches competing with you. Yeah, I guess there are, but I don't view anything as competition. But the point is that in our world, you see it as a lot of coaches out there because you're involved in coaching circles. But everyone else, for that matter, they don't have all these coaches marketing to them all the time, right? So, but the point is you're competing for attention, because people's attentions, their phones are going off, their kids and their spouses are calling them. They've got notifications popping up left and right. They've got responsibilities to go. They got emails coming in. They've got ads popping up. Like that's what's happening. And they're ADD to begin with, and I'm painting this picture, but this is real. And so they don't have time to figure out what you do. They would if they knew the value of it. And when they only know the value of it if they have that headline. So you're driving all this traffic to your website. You've got to have a clear, concise, very specific headline that's going to get them there, that's going to keep them there because they know it's for them. And now they're going to go, oh, let me view a little bit more. Now, when you get to a website, for instance, like mine, you're a coach. Obviously, you wouldn't be here right now listening, watching this if you weren't a coach and you didn't think about or wanting to or in that process of doing something full-time or something where you're earning money as a coach, right? So you get to that website, you get to my website, helping coaches transition to a full-time business. If you check that out at sellingcoaching.com. And then now you're like, okay, yes, this is for me or not. And if it's for you, I've got your attention. I've just bought a little extra time. You might see my startup guide and maybe you subscribe to it or not. But either way, you check out a few things. Maybe you watch my video at the bottom of the page. Maybe you go to my university and you go like, holy crap, there's a lot of great stuff here. You start listening, you start watching. Now I get your attention. Hopefully at that point, you either get out of my private Facebook group or you actually subscribe to my free offer and now you're on my email community. I'm in front of you, right? So people have got to want to do that. Give them a reason to want to do that when they get to your website, but letting them know basically your headline saying, hey, this is for you or not, by claiming helping who with what specifically. So now we understand when to do a website. We only do it at the point when we know what our headline is. We know the function of a website, meaning the function of a website is to, we're driving everything to that space, and now we have some great information there that is, and some lead capture. And that's where I'm going right there is the function of it is lead capture. So whatever you have on there, whatever type of content marketing, if you're doing it that way, even if you're doing paid marketing, however you're driving traffic there, you've got to have lead capture. So when I tell you to go to sellingcoaching.com, I'm just not just saying go there to check out my website because it's pretty or whatever it is. I'm saying go there because I've got some valuable resources for you. So your call to action there and for a lead capture is not number one, it's not nothing. Number two, it's not having a sign up box that says, hey, subscribe to my newsletter for awesome updates. It's like, who wants to subscribe to your newsletter? And what is a newsletter nowadays? Like a newsletter was like, to me, that's like old school, like this monthly newsletter that people send out with these beautiful templates from, like Aweber and things like that. That just bombard them with just this long, no, it's not a newsletter. We use email to communicate on a weekly, daily basis, multiple days a week, et cetera, with our audience. It's not sending them, once a month, this long thing, right? So what we're saying is when they don't care they don't want another newsletter. They want a valuable piece of education. All they care about is what they're going through and how you can help them. So you need to tell them how you can help them. Like I help you transition to full time. I help you with the marketing and selling aspects of that. I'm going to help you structure your business. I'm going to help take all the guesswork out of your business and all the overwhelm and all the marketing that you're receiving, right? And that you're confused as heck on and you don't know where to start, or you do one thing and do the other. I'm going to help just block all that out and help you come up with a strategy. See what I'm doing? Like I'm helping direct you. I'm telling you and teaching you how I can help you specifically. I'm not talking about coaching and offering you complimentary sessions. That doesn't mean anything to anybody, right? So when you go to your website, and I guarantee you go to any coach's website, there's going to be these great froofy stock pictures of people with their hands in the air and smiling and being all happy and fulfilled. And then there's going to be either no lead capture or there's going to be lead capture asking you to subscribe to their newsletter, which means nothing to somebody. And then you're also going to see lots of or subscribe here to get a complimentary coaching session. Like, what does that even mean to somebody? We have to remember that no one knows what a complimentary session is. Well, we could describe it to them, but what's the value of that, right? So for instance, if you go to the Work With Me page at sellingcoaching.com, I don't talk about offering you a complimentary session. I just say, hey, if you're at the point where you're ready to take that leap and you know you need some help, you're considering hiring me as your mentor coach, fill this out and let's talk and see where you're at. I'm not going to say I'm going to give you a complimentary session. I'm going to see if coaching's right for you. And then I'm going to have a quick call with you. I'm going to follow up with you. And at that point, after that conversation and I find out, what your need is and why now and why are you considering hiring me, If all those things check out, then I'll offer you a complimentary mentor coaching session, right? But the rest of my site is all focused on helping you and delivering some great information that's relevant to a very specific audience. So we need to make sure whenever we're doing a website, I'm talking about like the mindset behind why a website and when we do a website and what's the objective of the website. So we've got to have that lead capture. So with that lead capture, we've got to have a compelling offer. And the thing is the reason why a lot of coaches don't have a compelling offer or any offer is because they don't know who they're helping with what specifically. So therefore, well, how can they have a compelling offer other than, join my newsletter or here's a 45-minute session just for anybody in the world? So what's going to help you is when you take the time to figure out who you help with what specifically, and then you're going to know better how to market because you're going to know where these people are, because I know where coaches are now. Where are coaches? Right, and I can go on Facebook and I can go on online platforms. I can go face-to-face live if I'm choosing an offline model, if you will, and I can know where these coaches reside, where they hang out, so I can get my message in front of them. That's the value of that as well from a marketing perspective. But now when we drive traffic there, we can have a relevant and specific offer for them because we know what we're helping them with. We know what our message is and we know what they want, and that's how we can have that and get them onto our email community so we can stay in front of them on that basis. So now that we've gone over that, and if you can't tell, I'm passionate about that stuff. And again, if you can't figure that stuff out, that's the stuff that you need some help on. So like, don't strain yourself. That's why I say go to sellingcoaching.com on the work with me page, fill that form out and talk to me. I'm not going to hire me. I'm going to be like, I'm going to talk to you like a real human being and figure out where you're at. Maybe your mentor coaching is not right for you right now. You know what I mean? But at least ask for help. That's the point of it. Don't sit there behind the scenes trying to figure everything out yourself and be overwhelmed and not get anywhere. Because again, whatever time you've got, I don't care if it's 30 minutes or 3 hours or 8 hours a day, you want to be channeling your efforts in the right direction. So that's like the why a website, what's the function of it, when do we do a website, what does it need when we get there, and things like that. Now let's go over to the more logistical side for the second half of my live show. And that's doing the website, right? So now we know we don't do a website ideally until we figure that stuff out. But now once, let's say you're at that point, there's free options, meaning you can get on and you can do it yourself. I recommend a platform called WordPress. Think of, there's WordPress, and then there's other do-it-yourself platforms like GoDaddy.com has one, Wix.com has one, Weebly has one, and there's probably a million more of them. Those are some big ones. I think there's Squarespace.com has one, and whatever space. There's a bunch of them out there, right? And those are platforms you pay X amount of dollars a month, and you go on, and there's a template, and you pick a template, and then you basically just drag and drop, and you change your colors, and you add your pictures. And it's workable. I'll say it like this: it's workable. So it's affordable from a monthly cost, and then it's going to take you a lot of time to do it. The only drawback with that is that at the end of the day, even if you have some skill, a lot of coaches that I've worked with have done that option. And again, I don't recommend it's a bad option. I just on the other end, the finished product, I just want to make sure you're professional, right? Like whatever you're doing nowadays, with all these do-it-yourself platforms and the way you can video and go live, it's like, even like on a low minimal budget, you can still get HD video. You can still get, a great looking website at minimal cost, right? But you just want to make sure that everything looks and feels as professional as it possibly can and functions properly, especially your lead capture and things like that. You can tell when you go to a website if someone's done it or not. Said differently, you don't want to be able to tell when they go to your website that, you want people to know that a professional did it, even if you did it. And you have to look at it objectively. And sometimes it's hard for someone to look at your website or a friend or a peer coach and be like, yeah, your website kind of blows. You know what I mean? To be black and white about it, right? And that's why sometimes I'll tell my mentoring clients, I'm like, and I look at your website and I'm like, you know what? It works and it's functional. But at the end of the day, it doesn't come across very strong, especially if they don't have a great headline or a great lead capture. That's number one. And again, it doesn't have to be this, $3,000, $5,000 website that looks fantastic. You want it to look good, but sometimes they just look horrible, quite frankly. And so you've got to have that objective look at it. Because especially if you're doing it yourself, you could be all proud of your work and it might be a huge accomplishment for you, But that's like, a 5-year-old kid saying, look, mom, I drew you something. And it's like, oh my God, it looks so good. But at the end of the day, it just, scribbles everywhere. And on everyday standards, it's nothing. It's trash, right? But because the kid made it, it's beautiful, and you hang it up, and you appreciate it, and you do love it. You do love it because there's meaning behind it. But we're in the world of business, and it's completely different. People don't care if they get to your website, and yeah, they know who it is clearly. Again, that's not the whole driving factor. It's like, oh, it has to be like this beautiful website. That's not it at all. But if it's poor to the point where it deters from someone's experience and the user experience, then it's going to start taking away. So you've got to recognize that. So there's those options you can use yourself. I would recommend WordPress. And the challenge with that is WordPress, they have templates just like everything else. And they say they're user-friendly, do-it-yourself templates. But at the end of the day, there's going to be some challenges that you're going to have, even if you're pretty technical, as long as you can learn that stuff, but just make sure you get a good-looking product on the end. So that you go from that low to not so expensive pricing option, right, which is mostly your time, then to hiring somebody, and then there's sites like Fiverr.com, Fiverr.com as an example. There's a lot of sites like that where you can hire professionals to do your site. And then I've seen posts and threads where there's people that they'll do sites for $150, $200, things like that. I've seen those sites. And again, if you find someone that does a good job, that's fantastic. If I'm going to recommend anything that you start with, is essentially like a landing page, right? So you can use something, even like I got a couple clients of mine using leadpages.net. So lead pages is basically you create landing pages. A lot of people use them mostly for like I use mine for like my Facebook ads. Like I'll drive Facebook ad to my landing page, and then that converts into, let's say, like for a free resource or something like that builds my email community, and then I build them up from there. So that's a lot of people use them for, but I've got a couple clients right now even that they're doing lead pages and they're building a landing page, and that looks like a website, but they're doing it to integrate it with their free offer, right? And so that's a great way to do it because it's not so much every month. It's a very easy platform to figure out in terms of it's drag and drop, and it's not like building a 5-6 page website, right? You can do that very easily, and that's a great place to start. But at some point, you're probably going to want to have a website, and I would say a WordPress website. And the reason I could bring in WordPress up is because WordPress is I would say the standard. It's the most versatile, the most people use website. Website integrates with pretty much every other platform and or widget, if you will, out there. It integrates with those. So that's a great website to, especially starting off, to build upon. I found other platforms like Wix, Weebly, things like that. As coaches start to grow, they find they're limited on certain things that they can do with their website. Also, in terms of design, you start to become limited in terms of what you can do, versus with a WordPress website, pretty much you can do whatever the heck you want. In fact, this is a made-up statistic, but I'd say 99% of web designers, well, there's a large percent of web designers use WordPress. Some of them use Wix and Weebly and things like that. To me, they're just a Wix and Weebly expert, but to me, that's just a cheap way of you're just hiring someone to do who's an expert in that platform, right? And if that works for you, great. But I just find WordPress you'll never outgrow WordPress. In other words, let me say it like that. So that's one way to do it. But most designers use WordPress as their platform nowadays. And that's a great, because it's so versatile and because you can pick some awesome templates to start from, and then they customize it from there. So you're basically paying them to customize a WordPress template for you. And typically, the more cost that a web designer charges, typically means the more customization options that you'll get with them. So the lower the cost, the less customization. You're always going to have colors and branding basic branding, things like that. In terms of look and feel and structure of it, meaning modifying things. Like, for instance, when you go to sellingcoaching.com under my university, I did that when I started off, and that was so customized because I wanted it a very specific way. And so the bulk of what my cost was with my website when I did it was customizing my university, because I knew that was my education hub, and I would just be driving traffic there all the time. So I wanted to have a very specific look and feel, and I wanted to be user-friendly. I knew everything would be video-based. Even if I was doing a call and recording it, I knew I was going to convert it to a video, get it to YouTube, get it over to the university blog, if you will. And so I wanted it to just be very user-friendly, very professional looking, et cetera. So that took a lot of time. So, but that's what I'm saying here is that whenever you have a bigger cost, typically it's either just the company's a lot bigger web company, meaning they're just doing well. They've got a lot of clients, so they charge a lot more, or they've got more employees, they've got a bigger team. Typically, there's more costs involved with that. But typically, if it's just a one-man show and I'm a web designer and I'm charging, $3,000-$5,000, I either just really value what I do, which isn't a bad thing either. But typically, I offer just a lot more customization and a lot more personalization to it, a lot more of that one-on-one time, if you will. So with that being said, you just got to decide where your budget is initially. And there's a recommendation of someone that I recommend my clients to. I wish I had found her before I did my website years ago. I didn't know her then. I actually put her in the write-up, and her name is Lynn Coffey. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually, for those of you that are live right now, I'm actually going to paste that information into the comments right now. If you're not live and you're watching the recording, I'm going to have this Lynn's name and her link. I'm going to have that just down below in the topic, so you can click on that as well. But I'm going to paste that there, and I just don't want to leave you hanging in terms of, okay, Jeff, where do I go for this, right? So Lynn Coffey, I put a link to her website right there. I've done 3 live Tuesday calls with her. If you go to my university and you type in website, you'll be able to find the calls that we did if you get to know her a little bit. But the reason why I recommend Lynn is I'll give you some reasons, and this is why, is number one, Lynn's just awesome. She's personable. She'll talk to you. She knows her stuff, and she's not just a web designer. My biggest challenge in finding someone that I could recommend to people was that they were web designers, and they're great at designing a website that looks awesome and that functions well, but they don't understand the marketing side of it. So Lynn she understands that, like, your website is a marketing platform. It's what you're driving traffic there, and the main function of it is to capture leads and to build your email community and then nurture your people with your education, right? That's what she understands. So, and she's done a lot of websites for clients of mine, so she understands like what I'm recommending. We're in line with those things, and so she knows what you're looking for in that sense. Another reason why I like her is because she's got some very simple, very user-friendly templates that she works with. And the reason why that's nice is some people might look at them and be like, oh, it's just kind of basic, or it's simple, but that's exactly what it is. It's kind of like Google. If you go to google.com, and let's just, for the sake of conversation, say that is the #1 website in the world that people visit. Is that a fair assessment? Google.com, right? There's more people that go to google.com on a daily basis than any other website ever, right? And if you go to google.com right now, well, wait till this is done, but what do you see? You see a box in the middle that says search and the word Google above it, and that's it. And in the upper right hand corner, if you use like Gmail and something like that, you can log into your account. But other than that, there's nothing else, right? And so it's simple. It's designed to do one thing, and that's get you to search. Because where Google makes their money is when people search, and that's through the paid ads, etc. Boom, keywords. That's how they function. Obviously, they have a lot of other businesses, but that's it, right? So same thing with us. When you get to your website, you want to know who do you help with what specifically, and you want to have lead capture there. And anything else you send them to, like I would send people to my university has lead capture all over it, because I'm helping you. And so that's the whole point of that, is I want you to get on my email community. I want you to get in my private Facebook group as a minimum and be a part of that as well. Or at a minimum, like my Facebook page, right? So at least I have some way of staying in front of you. So that's why I like what she does, is she's got very simple, straightforward templates, and she doesn't do crazy customization, because when you have crazy customization, what that does is that takes you away from doing what you need to do and get the information to her so she can get the site live. And another reason why I love her is because once she's gotten your information, she gets your site live within 3 to 4 at the most business days. Meaning, if you got your information to her on Monday, your site's going to be live by the end of the week. And then obviously you can make any tweaks from there and go on. And any website I've done in the past has taken me months to do. And the reason it's taken me months to do is because I didn't just have a simple template I'm working from. That's all I had to do was choose maybe my colors and some basic layout things. She does that stuff. It's not like it's just, oh, this is all you have. It's like, yeah, you can add some texture, you can change your colors. There are some formatting things you can do, but the point is it's simple, because the more options you have, where you just have a blank canvas. Again, blank canvas, what do I do? Oh my God, I could do anything. Where it's like, here's the canvas, here are a few things we could do, A, B, or C, it's much easier to decide. Therefore, guess what? You get it done. And that's another reason why I like her around that is it's very simple. And those are the pieces. Also from a cost perspective, it's not thousands and thousands of dollars. It's basically $900 to get you started. And that's for a full website. And that's so affordable. I'm not saying that's cheap. I'm saying compared to a lot of other, web designers and stuff like that. I mean, years ago, I did a $5,000 website. Oh my God. I mean, web design wasn't like it is now. I mean, this was back in probably like 2007 or 2008 or so. But anyway, I spent $5,000 on my website. My sellingcoaching.com website, I did $3,000, and that was like 3 years ago or something like that. That's before I knew Lynn, But the point is that it can get very expensive. And I'm not saying that somewhere down the road you're not going to do something like that, because as you start to create more income in your coaching business, I would expect you to do that. You know what I mean? I would expect you to take whatever platform you have now and either use that platform and upscale it or go from there if it's needed, not just because you have more money. When you have more money, keep more money, great. Invest more money, save more money. You know what I mean? But the point is if you need to, great. That's what I did in my last business, my selling coaching business. Before it was that, it was True You Now, and I upscaled. I published a book, and I was working on bigger platforms with bigger people, and I was sharing the stage with Jim Rohn and Jeffrey Combs and Mark Victor Hansen, people like that. And these guys are huge, right? And you go to their websites, and it's a real deal. So I don't want to go to my website and have this home job. You know what I mean? I needed to play on their level, so to speak, because that's the type of stage I was sharing in the platform I was on. And so what I need from you is to start off is I don't need you to spend $2,000 to $5,000 on a website. I need you to spend like under $1,000. That's why I like Lynn, is because it's affordable in that sense. It's quick to get it done. She knows what she's talking about. After that, basically, I think it's $97 a month to maintain it, to host it, for any updates along the way or questions, and that's huge. Like for my website, I did it, like I said, years ago. I was paying $150 a month to maintain that. Most web designers now have a monthly fee for hosting, servicing, maintenance, things like that. And I've seen between $50 a month to $200 a month, and I'm sure there's some that are more than that. But those are like the costs with her, or the rough costs there. But that's why I recommend her. So I just wanted to give you a resource for you to move forward, and a link for that as well. And hopefully today's been helpful for you from really understanding the fundamentals of, why we need it, what's the function of it, when to do it, and then in terms of what are maybe some of our options are in terms of maybe do-it-yourself platforms like I mentioned, or actually if you want to actually find someone to hire.